Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this notion of work and worth. So one of the first things to kind of bring our attention to is what our relationship is with work and what our relationship is with our worth. And there is a place where they cross over and it can be helpful. So if I take pride in what I do, or I take pride in being a hard worker, or I feel accomplished by some of the work that I do, then there's worth attached to it. And so that isn't unhealthy. That can actually be quite motivating. What can happen is that motivation feeds us so much that we actually primarily receive our worth from our work. So we use our work to feel worthy, and that can be really dodgy. So when I see that happen, when it usually comes into my life is when somebody's relationship is breaking down, or when they don't really know their kids very well, or when somebody takes things very personally at work, or when somebody actually gets way too invested in a project and to the point of dismantling relationships, or to the point of actually ignoring the purpose of the project and going down their own route. That often is because on some level there's some worth tangled up with the project and some values being played out through their work. Another key signal is no work-life balance. And look, some people say that work-life balance doesn't exist, but there is a grey area. It is a spectrum. There is a place where we have a healthy enough lifestyle and a healthy enough working life. When we don't have that, when we aren't seeing our friends, when we aren't connected to hobbies, when we aren't engaging in life as a valuable thing outside of work, then our worth and our work is entangled. And where this can become a real issue is that a lot of people do this to achieve something in work, to get promoted, or to own a company, or to progress in some way. And what they don't think about is that actually when they get there, what's actually available to them is just more work, because they haven't maintained their life or their relationships or their hobbies or their interests. And now their identity is so entangled with work and what their job does and what they produce, that they're not able to enjoy their time off. They're not able to enjoy themselves in different ways. And they're just playing out one kind of role or one kind of experience. So when that's happening, the place to start is usually to get external help. While there are some exercises we can do for ourselves, actually when it comes to work and worth, because it's so tied to our identity, we often need external support to see beyond our blind spots and our limiting beliefs. And what I would say is, if this is happening, what can happen is we can try to ignore it until it costs us a lot, such as a relationship or quality of life or our health. When you have those little niggling signposts that something isn't working as well as it could, or your relationship with work isn't one that is going to sustain you in a healthy and happy way, it's much easier to deal with that as soon as you have an inclination that it's happening. Whereas by the time sometimes people get to me, they have actually already isolated themselves. The health is already at them. They're successful but unhappy. They might be they might be more frustrated and angry than they usually are. And at this point, we've got a little bit of unlearning to do and then relearning. It can be really helpful if people are just aware of those little signals. So let me know what your signals might be. When you're thinking about what I'm saying, what are the signals that are coming to mind for you? I'd love to hear them, so comment below. And what is it that you think might help you hold more balance or to separate your worth a little bit more? I'd love to hear. Thank you.